You were at Media Day for the LCS. Of course, it kicks off this weekend. What did you notice? Who were you impressed by? What were some teams that you really noticed some good chemistry there during Media Day?
So Media Day was 3 days actually. So Media Day essentially is Assets Day, where the players go through, they get their official photos taken for the broadcast. They do tech check, which is they go on stage and make sure that all their equipment is working for Saturday for the opening day. And then they do about, half an hour to an hour of media. So we talked to pretty much almost every single team. And there was, I think the first thing that came to my mind, and just from talking to every team, is that there's a lot of teams missing players. Visa issues are abound in the LCS. And I'm sure, and I've been told by, a few teams that their players will be there by opening day, but there were a lot of teams that weren't together, and even if they get their starting five by opening day, they're not going to have time to actually scrim, in LA. So I expect there to be a slow start for a lot of these teams, and I think the teams that have their five together and have been boot camping in Korea and other countries like 100 Thieves, EG, C9, and TSM, I think those four teams are going to look really strong out of the gates just because they have all their members together and they've been boot camping and they're going into the season with a very direct mindset, and they kind of already have that chemistry going.
So we should mention that Parth, during our kickoff show, did mention that they were able to sort out their visa issues. One thing before we move off this topic, what about Team Liquid? Pobelter filling in the jungle position until Broxah is able to join the team. What happens if that's an extended period of time? What happens if Pobelter develops a chemistry with the rest of the team and the results are positive and Pobelter pops off and suddenly he becomes a viable option? This could very well happen.
It could, because Pobelter is a very smart player. We've tested him in the Wonderlic test. Like we all know at ESPN that Pobelter is a very high Q boy, and he has experience upon experience. And we've seen, these players before, when they hit a ceiling in, mid 80 carry top lane, they go to the jungle and they kind of can, reinvent themselves. And I'm not saying that Pobelter is going to become a full-time jungler. I don't believe that is actually his goal. I think he's kind of just filling in as a jungler. I think his future goal is to start for a team in the LCS as a mid laner, and his Team Liquid tenure is kind of just a road stop on that course. But with how much talent this team has around him, he knows everyone on the team. So it wouldn't surprise me if, he comes in, he plays the champions that he's, familiar with in the jungle role, and Team Liquid gets off to, let's say, a 4-0 start, a 6-0 start, and Broxah, week 4, gets his visa. Do you rush him back in at that point? Or do you kind of hold him off, especially in spring, where there's no championship points, and say, let's get Broxah, acclimated to this team, and if, get him through his paces, scrim with Pobelter, but, get him in gradually. Obviously, if Team Liquid starts slow, or they're 4-2 or 2-2, and Broxah is able to play, they're going to put in Broxah because they gave him a lot of money to be that star jungler, that rhythm maker in the team. But if Pobelter can hold steady and the team can perform well the first few weeks, I wouldn't rush Broxah back. I would have him practice. I'd have him scrim. I'd have him get the chemistry of the team. Go out to dinner. Do all the things that you're supposed to do to, get chemistry of the team. Do what LeBron James did when this year, before the Lakers actually started practicing, he went to Las Vegas with all his teammates to acclimate them, to become friends. So I think that's a thing that I think is overlooked a lot in esports, where you need to, understand your teammates before you can actually excel at the highest level. We see with G2 and FPX, two teams very close, both in this year's final. Obviously, the power of friendship's not going to win you a championship, but I would not rush Broxah back if there's no need to. Get him familiar with the team, the environment, and the infrastructure, and then let him play.